Hi there, I'm Joel. Let's take a quick tour of the models section in Agility. The first and probably most important part that's in here is the content model section. Content model is where you set up essentially the fields that are going to be available on the content that's available in the content area. Now when you create a content model, that isn't represented directly in the content area. You have to create a list or an item that's based off that model. Let's go take a look at an example one. So here's our post model. And you can see we've got all the fields defined on here with their different types and any properties that are important to them. So for instance, on our title field, we've got our title, the field label, the field name. We can do a description. We can set whether it's required. And then we can set specific properties on this, whatever type of field this is. So this is a text field. I can set the maximum length and the default values, things like that. If I'm working on something like a date field, I can set the similar label and name is similar for every single field that's out there and required. I can also set on this one whether I want to include the time in that date time field. Let's do a couple more. Let's look at an attachment field. So here's an image attachment field. And again, similar properties that are here, but I can set now the valid file types for this image attachment field. And I could set things like the file size needs to be larger or smaller than something or else. Potentially I could say, hey, it needs to be 500 pixels wide, something like that. I can also say whether the alt text is required for this field. So there's lots of different settings that are available for each different field type. Looking at one more, let's look at the actual category for this, which is a linked content field. So this is a field that's going to link off to another list so that I can have a specific list of categories that aren't all just typed in manually. So in here, I've got, again, same basic properties, but in the details now, there's a lot more settings. So in this case, I'm linking off to a shared content list. I want to be able to pick specific items from that list using a dropdown. And the content list I'm going to use is the blog categories content list. So it took some setup to sort of understand how I want this content to link together. And there's a lot of different options. And certainly something that we talk a lot with our customers to help them build their content models that link together and have the right field types. In other videos, we'll be looking at the page modules and the page template section, but this was just to give you a brief overview of the content modeling section itself.